Hi guys, Prime here. For some reason, I got some requests to cover Horus and Set. We're going to start off with Horus, and then we'll do Set some other time. So, whether he's Horus the Elder or Horus the Child, he always has a falcon head and a man's body. The wings on his back are a variable thing though. Horus the Elder usually has the wings, or Horda the Primordial God usually has the wings. And Horus the Child usually doesn't have wings. But we'll get into why that is in just a sec. There are plenty of gods who have actually taken the name of Horus, but we're going to be referring only to Horus the Elder and Horus the Child, which actually has a special Greek name that I'll pop up on the screen right now. So yeah, as the son of Geb and Nut, or Ra and Nut, Horus the Elder was given charge of the sky, and part of his name, Hor, meant the distant one, because of that. So Horus also looked after the sun, because he was looking after the sky, and it was said that his wings would extend out and become the sky. Sort of how, like, Nut, his mother, was also the sky. Hathor was also a god of the sky in some myths, and said to be his mother, his wife, or his daughter, depending on the myth as well, and Horus may have travelled in a falcon barge, similar to Ra's barge, across the sky and through the heavens. This form of Horus is also credited as being a creator deity and even a primordial being in some stories. Pretty powerful guy, probably a lot stronger than the other variant of Horus we're going to talk about in this video. But his eyes were the sun and the moon, letting him watch over the earth and see men throughout the day. So, hey, if you were doing anything, let's say, private, well, Horus probably knows about it at all times. You know how the Christian god has the whole ability to sort of know everything you're going to do, everything you are doing, and everything you have done? Well, Horus probably has two parts out of that three-pronged system, but probably not the future sight part. Still, you have to watch out around Horus. And he could also fly so well that he could carry messages to and from Ra, but also provide comfort to those in need of it, or bring crucial information that those who would have need of it could, have. Horus was always a prominent god in Egypt, especially after an early king decided to connect himself to the god by taking the falcon as a symbol. So thanks to that, people started worshipping Horus. He was just a lot more famous, and it was good times for Horus. But Horus, as I said, always been a prominent god in Egypt. So thanks to this, he got a bunch of new titles and names as well, and it was just good times for Horus. Horus the Younger also takes the sun and moon as his eyes when they're damaged by Set, and both objects, or just the moon in some stories, receive damage as well. They don't shine as brightly, and it's just dark times for people who like the moonlight, say. In the main story involving Horus the Younger, I've told this plenty of times on the channel by now, and you can go ahead and check out one of these videos to find out one variation of the story or another, or all of them, if you're a good person. But Horus does challenge Set for the throne, and there's a lot of different versions, variations of how this actually plays out, but in the version I'll tell you today, Horus goes before the 9 gods that are in charge and claims that Set unlawfully claimed the throne of Egypt, which he did. He either chucks Osiris in a box, fills it with lead or something that would stop Osiris from getting out of the box, and then Osiris dies like that, or literally goes ahead and murders Set, physically in person himself, one-on-one styles. Either way, Isis is distracted by the death of Osiris, Set takes the throne. And most gods agree that Horus should be the king, but the supreme god, Ra, takes Set's side and says that Set has the experience, has the knowledge and know-how, and is just a much more fitting ruler. He's already in charge. Why do we need to make this change? If it's not broken, don't fix it, right? Once all's said and done, it turned out that it took about 80 years before any significant change in rulership actually happened, and of course during that time Set and Horus were doing all of this battling and fighting with armies, 1v1, all types of different things. Horus wins the majority of these battles, and in one of these battles specifically, as I said, Horus loses an eye or both eyes, and in another one of these battles, or the same battle depending on the myth, Set loses his genitals, or his balls. And, of course, it's quite a significant blow to Set, and I'll explain that why in the Set's video. But for Horus, it's also a significant blow. The moonlight starts to fade, or sometimes the sunlight as well. It starts to fade. Everything is falling more into chaos. Eventually, though, Horus is healed, and Horus, after 80 years of fighting with Set, is still not the king. So just like in most of the myths, it falls on Isis's shoulders to carry Horus to victory. So she transforms into a beautiful woman, speaks to Set, and tricks Set into damning himself with his own words. Once that's done, Ra realizes that Set isn't fit to rule, and Horus takes the throne of Egypt. Once Horus has the throne, he fixes the messes made by his uncle. He then reinstates the policies and the laws that his parents introduced, and in turn, the order of things was returned to their former states, and Horus was known as a wise king. He was such a good king that kings wanted to name themselves after Horus or connect themselves to Horus in some way, and all around just a good guy king. The king that you want to be. Or at least the king you want to be seen as, so you can get away with some dark stuff. I'm sure it happened. The sons of Horus protected the organs of the dead, and were guarded by a goddess. Duamatef, the first son, was a dracal god and protected by Neith. He held the east. Hapi, the baboon, protected the lungs and was the north, and Nepsis was by his side. Imsfeti took the form of a human and looked after the liver. Imseti, took the form of a human and looked after the liver and the south. He was also shielded by Isis. And lastly, Qber-Senuth was the hawk god of the west and was protected by Selket, or Serket, if you prefer, and protected the intestines. I get what they were trying to do with the ult, sort of have Horus fly into the sky, fly around a bit, and even take his allies places, sort of that whole thing I was talking to you about with Horus the Elder, sort of carrying messages to and from Ra, helping out people with vital information, or comfort. I'm sure it's pretty comforting to, dodge maybe a Poseidon Kraken whilst you're in the middle of an Odin ult. Those skills are even still relevant in the game. I have no idea, but let's just say. I mean, hey, it's a nice lore-accurate touch, so take it. And other than that, his kid is what it is. I mean, he had a lot of conflicts with Set, so yeah. There is one last thing I do want to talk about with Horus, and that's the whole Jesus thing. So there are some mystics that believe that Jesus was inspired by Horus, and that Jesus himself never existed in the way that Christianity would have you believe. Apparently, Horus was born of a virgin mother, a star foretold his birth, Seb, a man on earth, was his father, and another one of these things that's just connected to Horus is that he raised Osiris from the dead. If you've listened to any of the stories I've told you on the channel, you'll know that none of these things are true. If you know any other of the versions of Horus' story, you'll know that none of these things are really true either. These connections, or these pieces of proof that prove that Jesus is just a copy of Horus, to put it in a more blunt way, not quite true. I mean, I suppose that's not quite the claim, but you get the point. The claim that Jesus' story was inspired by Horus's doesn't quite shape up just because these events, if you're citing these things as proof, it doesn't really work out. Isis puts in a lot of hard work to get Osiris to father her a child, so she was not a virgin. Seb was one of the names of Geb, and Geb was a god. Father, his grandfather perhaps, or the father of Horus the Elder, but certainly not a mortal man. And raising Osiris from the dead doesn't quite happen that way. I mean, Osiris does get to rule again, but over the dead, not coming back to life as a mortal or ruling over mortals. So, yeah, no, doesn't quite work out. Still, the Jesus memes of Horus, they're a thing, so yeah. And, well, I hope you found out more about Horus and enjoyed the video. If you did, go ahead and leave a like, and of course subscribe to the channel for more content just like this. And also go ahead and tell me, which of the two do you prefer? Horus or Osiris? I really can't decide out of the two. I mean, Horus is I just don't like the wings, to be honest. As far as the look, how he turned out in Smite, I prefer Set, just because of the design. The wings just look goofy to me. But that's just my opinion. I just can't get past the wings. Tell me, what do you think? And, till the next video, have a very good day. I've been Brian, and I'll see you in the next one. Which will be on Set, probably. Bye-bye.